Ever wondered how whole countries, entire nations just appear? How they're born?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it?
Definitely. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the rise of nationalism in Europe. We'll explore how this really powerful idea completely changed the map of the continent.
Yeah, a fundamental shift. We're looking at history texts, some firsthand accounts, and this really interesting 19th century print.
Right. Our goal here is to give you a quick but vital understanding of this huge transformation. Think of it as a shortcut to grasping how nation-states emerged from those older empires.
And where better to start than with that print you mentioned?
Exactly. Let's kick off with a really captivating visual. Frederick Sariu's 1848 print, The Dream of Worldwide Democratic and Social Republics. Just picture it. Peoples from Europe and America marching together.
A long procession, men and women.
Yeah, and they're offering homage to the Statue of Liberty. And if you look down, on the ground...
You see the debris? The shattered symbols of the old monarchies, the absolutist regimes, broken crowns, scepters.
It's powerful imagery.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's striking about Sariu's vision, this sort of utopian dream, is how he shows distinct nations. You can tell them apart by their flags or costumes.
Okay.
The U.S. and Switzerland are out front. They were already nation states, more or less. Then you see France carrying the revolutionary tricolor,
Of course.
followed by the German people's black, red, gold flag, even though Germany wasn't unified yet. Then Austrians, Italians, Poles, English, Irish, Hungarians, Russians, a whole continent on the move.
And there are figures watching from above.
Yes, Christ, saints, angels,
Yeah.
gazing down.
Yeah.
It symbolizes this idea of fraternity, of brotherhood among all these nations.
So that print really sets the scene. It visually captures this core idea that the nation-state replacing those old, sprawling, multinational empires.
Precisely. But maybe we should clarify what we mean by nation-state. It's not just a territory with a ruler.
Right. What's the key difference?
Well, in a nation-state, the majority of the people, the citizens, not just their rulers, start to feel a common identity, a shared history, maybe a shared sense of descent.
Okay, a collective identity.
Exactly. And it's crucial to remember, this wasn't some ancient thing. It didn't just naturally exist. It was forged, often through really tough struggles and through the actions of leaders and ordinary people.
So if it was forged, where did the fire really start? Where's the first, clear example of this nationalism taking hold?
I'd say the French Revolution, 1789. That's widely seen as the first clear expression.
Why then? What changed so dramatically?
Fundamentally, sovereignty shifted. Power wasn't just in the hands of the monarch anymore. It transferred, theoretically at least, to the body of French citizens. The people became the nation.
And they actively worked to create that feeling of togetherness, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They introduced ideas like la patrie, the fatherland, and le citoyen, the citizen. These concepts emphasized a united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution.
And the symbols, too. The flag.
Right. The new tricolor flag replaced the old royal standard. The Estates General was renamed the National Assembly, elected by active citizens.
New hymns, oaths taken, commemorating martyrs, all in the name of the nation.
Exactly. And it wasn't just symbolic. They made very practical changes, too.
Like what?
A centralized administrative system was put in place. Uniform laws for everyone. They got rid of internal customs duties and dues that hindered trade within France.
Standardizing things. Weights. Measures.
Uniform weights and measures, yes. And they actively discouraged regional dialects. The French spoken in Paris was promoted as the common language of the nation. It was all about creating unity.
And this revolutionary energy, it didn't just stay within France's borders.
Not at all. The revolutionaries declared it was their mission to, liberate other peoples of Europe from despotism, to help them become nations too.
So they exported the revolution.
In a way, yes. As French armies moved into neighboring countries in the 1790s, they carried these ideas of liberty and nationhood with them, often setting up Jacobin clubs to support local sympathizers.
Which brings us to Napoleon. His role seems complicated.
Very complicated. I mean, he effectively destroyed democracy in France by making himself emperor, returning to a kind of monarchy. But paradoxically, he incorporated many revolutionary principles into his administration, not just in France, but across the territories he conquered. He aimed for rationality and efficiency.
Okay, so maybe not the political freedom, but the administrative modernization, like his famous civil code.
Exactly. The Civil Code of 1804, the Napoleonic Code, was huge. It did away with privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, secured the right to property. These were revolutionary ideas codified.
And beyond the code.
He simplified administrative divisions, abolished the whole feudal system, freed peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. In towns, he removed guild restrictions. He improved transport and communication. It was about making the state run more efficiently.
How did people in the conquered areas react to all this French influence? Was it welcomed?
It was definitely mixed. Initially, in places like Holland, Switzerland, even cities like Milan and Warsaw, the French armies were often welcomed, seen as, harbingers of liberty.
But that didn't last.
No, the enthusiasm turned sour pretty quickly. People realized the downsides: increased taxation, censorship, being forced into the French armies to help Napoleon conquer the rest of Europe.
Right, the costs started to outweigh the benefits.
Absolutely. Soon, French rule came to be seen as oppressive, not liberating. Hostility grew.
Okay, so Napoleon's legacy is complex, spreading some modern ideas, but also generating resistance. Now, to really get why these nationalist ideas found fertile ground, maybe we should quickly look at Europe before this era.
Good idea. Mid-18th century Europe. Well, there were no nation-states, as we know them.
Just kingdoms, duchies.
Kingdoms, duchies, cantons, ruled by monarchs or princes who had autonomy over their territories. Eastern and Central Europe were under vast autocratic empires.
Like the Habsburg Empire.
The Habsburg Empire is the perfect example. It ruled over Austria, Hungary, Bohemia, parts of Italy, Poland, a real patchwork of different regions and peoples.
So lots of different groups lumped together.
Exactly. You had German-speaking aristocracy, Italian-speaking provinces like Lombardy, Venetia, Magyar speakers in Hungary, Polish speakers in Galicia, plus various subject peasant peoples, Bohemians, Slovaks, Croats, Romanians.
Wow. Not much tying them together, then.
Very little. The only real tie binding these diverse groups was often just a common allegiance to the emperor, no sense of collective identity or a common culture.
Okay, so into this fragmented world steps a new social group.
Yes, the new middle class. Its rise is linked to industrialization, especially in Western and parts of Central Europe. We're talking industrialists, businessmen, professionals.
Educated people.
Educated and often liberal-minded. It was largely from this group that ideas of national unity following the abolition of aristocratic privileges gained popularity.
Let's unpack liberalism then. What did it mean for them?
Well, the term derives from the Latin liber, meaning free. So for the new middle classes, liberalism stood, above all, for freedom for the individual and equality of all before the law.
Politically speaking.
Politically, it meant government by consent, an end to autocracy and clerical privileges. They wanted a constitution and representative government through parliament, and they stressed the inviolability of private property.
But equality wasn't universal yet.
No, that's a key point. Equality before the law didn't necessarily mean universal suffrage, right for everyone to vote. Often, in the early stages, only men with property had the vote. Women and non-propertied men were excluded.
Okay. What about economically? What did liberalism mean there?
Economic liberalism pushed for the freedom of markets. They wanted to abolish state-imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital.
Because it was chaotic back then.
Hugely chaotic. Imagine a merchant traveling in the German-speaking regions in the 1830s. They'd have to pass through maybe 11 customs barriers, paying a customs duty of about 5% at each one.
Wow. And different currencies, different measurements.
Oh, yes. Currencies were numerous, over 30 in the German Confederation alone. Weights and measures differed wildly. The L, a measure for cloth, was different in Frankfurt than in Mainz or Nuremberg. It was a nightmare for trade.
So the middle class wanted to fix this.
They demanded a unified economic territory allowing unhindered movement. This led to the Zollverein, or Customs Union, formed in 1834 at Prussia's initiative.
And other German states joined.
Most of them did. The Zollverein abolished tariff barriers and reduced the number of currencies from over 30 down to just 2. Plus, the creation of a railway network further boosted mobility. It harnessed economic interest to the cause of national unification.
Okay, so liberalism is pushing for unity, but then Napoleon is defeated in 1815. What happens next?
After 1815, European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. Conservatives believed in preserving traditional institutions, the monarchy, the church, social hierarchies, property, the family.
Back to the old ways. Completely.
Not entirely. Interestingly, most conservatives didn't propose a simple return to the society before the French Revolution. They realized, partly from Napoleon's changes, that modernization could actually strengthen traditional institutions.
How so?
A modern army, an efficient bureaucracy, a dynamic economy, abolishing feudalism and serfdom. These could make autocratic monarchies stronger, more effective.
So pragmatic conservatism.
You could say that. This thinking shaped the Congress of Vienna in 1815, where the major powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia, Austria, met to settle Europe after Napoleon.
Hosted by the Austrian Chancellor Metternich.
That's right, Duke Metternich. The main goal was to restore the monarchies Napoleon had overthrown, like the Bourbons in France, and create a new conservative order in Europe.
And they redrew the map to contain France.
Yes, they set up a series of states on France's borders to prevent future expansion. The Kingdom of the Netherlands, including Belgium, was created in the north. Genoa was added to Piedmont in the south. Prussia got important territories on its western frontiers. Austria gained control of northern Italy.
What were these conservative regimes like in practice?
They were generally autocratic. They didn't tolerate criticism or dissent. Most imposed censorship laws to control what was printed in newspapers, books, plays, songs, anything reflecting ideas of liberty and freedom associated with the French Revolution.
But you couldn't just erase the memory of the revolution.
Exactly. Despite the censorship, the memory of the French Revolution continued to inspire liberals. One of the major issues they took up was freedom of the press.
And this suppression pushed liberals underground.
It did. Fear of repression drove many liberal nationalists underground. Secret societies sprang up all over Europe to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas.
And this is where someone like Mazzini comes in.
Precisely. Giuseppe Mazzini, an Italian revolutionary born in Genoa in 1807. He became a member of the Carbonari, a secret society.
He got into trouble early.
Yes, he was sent into exile in 1831, at just 24, for attempting a revolution in Liguria. But exile didn't stop him. He founded two more underground societies, Young Italy in Marseille, and then Young Europe in Bernay.
What was his core belief?
Mazzini believed passionately that God intended nations to be the natural units of mankind. So Italy, which was then just a patchwork of small states and kingdoms, couldn't continue like that. It had to be forged into a single, unified republic.
He sounds like a real firebrand.
He was. His relentless opposition to monarchy and his vision of democratic republics frightened the conservatives. Metternich himself described Mazzini as the most dangerous enemy of our social order.
Wow. So Mazzini and others like him really set the stage for more upheaval.
Absolutely. This simmering discontent, fueled by liberal and nationalist feelings, led to what historians call the Age of Revolutions between 1830 and 1848.
Who was leading these revolutions?
Often it was the educated, liberal, middle-class professors, school teachers, clerks, members of the commercial middle classes.
Can you give an example?
The first major upheaval was the July Revolution in France in 1830. The Bourbon kings, who had been restored after Napoleon, were overthrown. A constitutional monarchy was installed, with Louis Philippe at its head.
And this had ripple effects.
Immediately, as Metternich famously remarked.
Wait, I know this one. When France sneezes,
the rest of Europe catches cold. Exactly. The July Revolution sparked an uprising in Brussels.
leading to Belgium.
Breaking away from the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. It just shows how interconnected things were and how potent these ideas had become.
So there you have it. A whirlwind tour, really. From a utopian dream in an 1848 print, through revolutions, reforms, repression, secret societies. The birth of nations in Europe was clearly a really complex process. Messy, even.
Definitely messy, but undeniable. This deep dive really highlights how powerful ideas about identity, about who gets to rule, about shared culture can completely reshape continents. It led to incredible unity in some places, but also, as we know, future conflicts.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If nations are forged, as you said, through struggles and shared stories, these imagined communities, what kinds of communities